Hello everybody, testing out the audio, just making sure everything is working properly. You may hear an echo, but that's just because we're running the test. Once we get started, that will go away for sure. Hello everybody, testing out the audio, just making sure everything is working properly. You may hear an echo, but that's just because we're running the test. Once we get started, that will go away for sure. There you go, there's the echo. Okay, so it looks like everything's set up. How is everybody doing today? I hope everybody is doing great. If it's your first time here, feel free to say hello. Or if you've been here before, feel free to say hi. Always great to hear from new and existing students on the live stream. So welcome out to it. We are doing chords today, learning how to master our chords more quickly. So we're going to go over some tips as well as a sheet I have for you that will be up on my website at the basically the URL that is in the description. So let me just set a couple more things up and then we'll be ready to go. Hello, Coramine. How you doing? Glad to have you with us. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. But, if you feel like sharing anything about yourself, how long you've been playing piano maybe. But if not, if you just kind of want to sit back and watch, that's totally fine with me as well. We're going to have a great lesson today. Hello, Ji-sung. Hopefully I said your name right, Ji-sung. And hello, everybody else who is out there. We will get started very shortly. We usually start at around 8 o'clock, so that's, in your terms, 2 minutes from now, we will get started. Hey, Rich is back once again. Always glad to have, returning live streamers back with us again. Hopefully Rich has been doing well. How have you been, Rich? I have been pretty good. Everything with the website's going pretty well, just adding some things here, including basically what we're doing today, adding a lot more courses to the website about, chords and sight reading and things like that. So those are all in the works as usual. Let me see how much battery I have on my tablet here before we begin. Okay, not bad. I think it'll carry us through. I'm good, thank you. By the way, that's my code name. First time with you, I think. Let me see what that says. Oh, first time with you on live. Well, welcome out, and you're welcome back anytime. So, sorry if I mispronounced your code name wrong. And the allergies are back right on time. Wonderful. Okay, let me get my sheet out, and we'll get started. We got about a minute, probably less than that. Okay. Hello everybody, Tim from Lessons on the Web back here again. Time to turn our brains back into music mode for another lesson, this time about chords and how to master them quickly. So we're going to talk about some basic tips I have for you about learning chords, as well as a couple of exercises that I really think will help out over on my website. So let's get started with the lesson. So the first tip I have for you is become familiar with major chords, minor chords, diminished chords, and augmented chords. All of those are triads, by the way, 3-note chords. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I do have a playlist that I'll put in the description, which will really help you understand these basic types of chords. But I'm going to assume you pretty much know what those are about before continuing on. So one of the things you really want to know about the chords, these 4 types of triads, is basically how to spell the chords. And by spell, I don't mean C-H-O-R-D. I mean actually saying what letters make up that chord. So for instance, C major, as you can see right here, C major is made up of the notes C, E, and G. So when you do this little exercise later, you want to be aware of the 3 notes that make up that chord. Like F major, for instance, is spelled F-A-C. That's what we call the chord spelling, just to alleviate any confusion going on. So, and an E minor chord would be E, G, B. So you want to be aware of your majors and your minors. We basically just have majors here for you today on this sheet. The better you are at spelling the chords, the better you will be at playing them. You really want to know the stuff like the back of your hand, and you want to spend at least a little bit of time each practice session going over this, and before long, after a couple of months, maybe even a couple of years, you will have your chords mastered. But I'm going to give you a little exercise today that will really help. So if you follow this guide, you will be able to master them in a much shorter period of time. Okay, let's see here. Another tip I have for you is to become familiar with chord progressions, mainly cadences. Now, what is a cadence? Well, cadence is really a chord pattern. Isn't that what I just said? So you want to be familiar with these chord patterns because cadences are really common chord patterns that you find in music. Now, you can find cadences online probably if you searched in Google. There is a book you can get on Amazon called Scales and Arpeggios, and you can find the cadences in the back of those. So one thing you really want to learn is your cadences. Now these are going to be groups of different chords. Actually, I can show you here. So here we have another chord sheet, and it says C major pattern. Really what it means is C major cadence pattern. And as you can see, there's three different chords there. There's what we call the 1 chord, which is whatever key you're in. So if it's C major, it's that chord. And then you have F major, G major, things like that. With this sheet, you really just want to, in the cadences, kind of understand how each chord moves between one another. So when you're looking at these, you want to say, okay, this first chord we have right here, there it says C major pattern. That's C, E, and G. By the way, you always want to be saying your chord spellings when you play these. Then you're moving to what's called an F major. Now, if you notice, it's not evenly stacked, meaning it's in an inversion, but the notes of this chord are F, A, and C. And notice how when you move between those two chords, you're moving these top two notes up and keeping the note that's the same between them. And then for the last chord here, you want to be aware that you are going to move the top one down and the bottom note down and keep this one the same. So if you notice, whenever you play these chord patterns, you want to do what's called retaining the common tone. And actually, if you find cadences, they will do that automatically. But if you're wondering why some of these are in root position and inversions, that's why. And if you don't know what inversions is, the playlist I had provided you in the description will help you out as well. So you want to become familiar with what these patterns look like on the piano, as well as on the sheet music itself. You want to be able to look at a chord right away and say, okay, it's a C major or G major. Again, I actually have a really great lesson on this about identifying chords. Again, will be provided to you in the description. That's probably the word of the day, but I'm kind of making some assumptions here on what you may already know, and I just want to make sure that you're all caught up if you are lost. Let's take a look here. Hey, Jezebel's back. Great to have you with us. Let's see. Rich says, for every chord, is the thumb always involved with playing it? Or can you use 2, 3, 4, or 2, 4, 5? That's what Rich says. So, Rich, great question. I need to think about this. If it's in root position, it will be, you will always use your thumb. Yeah, I actually, on either hand, I think you will always use your thumb. As I'm playing through these, if I find an example that doesn't fit that, I'll certainly let you know. Just Jesse is fine. Okay, sorry, I've been calling you this the whole time, but sorry about that. Jesse. All right, well, welcome back, Jesse. Okay, so here we go. So we have C major. And now when you play these will be provided over on my website. Now, when you play these, you want to say, okay, I'm playing a C major chord. By the way, if you notice, it's called chord inversion. So when you play each example, each two measures, That's one example. So that's C major. They're all C major chords. You're just switching out the order because you're always playing the notes C, E, and G. But the point is when you play these, you want to first say, all right, I'm playing C major. It's spelled, remember, chord spelling is important, C, E, and G. And then you want to play the inversions. Next, you want to go to the next one, F major. And when I play this one, make this a little bit larger for us. When I play this one, the notes F, A, and C, I want to say to myself, okay, I'm playing the notes F, A, and C, and that's an F major chord. Major chord's always sounding happy, by the way. And then I want to play the inversions up and down. And then G major, made of the notes with 3 notes. Am I playing G, B, and D? And then what I would really do is I would spend a week just maybe working on 3 of these. Now you may be able to play through a lot of them in one day, but the reason I suggest you spend a week going over these, like maybe learn the C major one. And by the way, you might not be able to play them as fast as me, and that's okay. Then go to the F major one. And by the way, say the chord spellings along with it. And then each day, or each week, just add 3 more. And the reason behind that is it will help you concentrate on 3 of them at a time. I feel like if you try to tackle the entire sheet right away, it will get very easy to get messed up. So make a goal each week to really commit to memory the chord spelling of 3 of these. So like I said, week 1, do C major, F major, G major. Next week, do D major, E major, and A major. One thing I want to tell you about is you need to pay attention to the key signature, which are the sharps and flats that are written there, because those sharps will, anytime you have a chord and one of those sharps in the key signature is there, you have to play that sharp. So when you do D major, you have to know that it's D, F sharp, A, not D, F, A. That would be D minor. So always pay attention to what notes are sharped in the key signature. So, week 2 you would do D major, E major, A major. Week 3 you do B major, D flat major, E flat major. I think you get the idea until you go through all of them. And like I said, commit to memory the 3 notes that make up each of them and tackle them 3 at a time. So down here we have cadence patterns. And there's Roman numerals written there, so that means that this is the first chord of the scale. The next one is the fourth chord of the scale. It's not very important to, it is important to know that. And then you have 5, 1. So that's what the Roman numerals are about. They're telling you which note of that scale that chord is based on, in case you're curious. But you want to learn the cadence patterns 3 keys at a time as well. So learn the one in C major. And by the way, you tell yourself, okay, C major spelled C, E, and G. And then the next one you want to do the G major one. And then it's G, B, and D. And then D major. And then it's of D, F sharp, and A. And like I said, when you play these for the first time, you won't know exactly how to play them right off the bat. It will take you quite a bit of time. It might take you the entire week to actually play the 3 cadence patterns for each line. So as before, for week 1, you want to learn C major, G major, D major, the exact same as before, A major, E major, and B major. And then each week, add 3 more and commit them to memory. That's the most important thing. And then you probably every once in a while, you want to pick a random key, and you want to say, okay, how about E flat? How do I play an E flat major chord? Well, after you practice these, you'll know, okay, E flat major, E flat G, B flat. So that's why the chord spellings are important. They will come back to haunt you if you are not familiar with how each chord is constructed. This is true for minors as well. Now, I don't have the sheet for you here right now. I'm making one actually in the process of doing so. So just learn these majors for now and commit them to memory and see how you do. By understanding how the chords are spelled and being able to play the cadence patterns, not only will you be able to understand how to construct those chords and how to spot them, you will also understand the kind of finger motions between each of the chords. Okay, let me see here, everybody. Hold on. Okay, and you can get this printout at. And actually, I need to switch out the uh, worksheets I put up there, but at pianolessonsontheweb.com/piano chords. The link is in the description, by the way, and if you click it, it will take you to this. Now, like I said, after the live stream tonight, I will switch out. I actually have the wrong worksheet up. I'm going to put this one up instead, that goes along with this lesson. I kind of goofed there at the last minute, but later on today, if you check that out, you will get this worksheet, so you'll be able to print it out and will be able to work through it. Remember, the goal is to work through 3 of these at a time, spelling the chord out. So C, E, G for C major, F, A, C for F major, G, B, D for G major, and so forth, and learn 3 a week until you've learned them all, and then go through and learn the cadence patterns as well. And by the way, I also want to mention that this lesson was brought to you by the supporters on Patreon, which help kind of keep this channel going and these live streams and everything. And one other thing I want to tell you about is over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, I have a lot of courses that I made that can actually take you far beyond what the YouTube channel takes you. So the YouTube channel is designed mostly towards beginners, even though some of these lessons might not seem like so, but if you take basically the first playlist I did and work all your way up to now, that's really still covering the beginner spectrum. So if you really want to learn a lot more about piano music and piano music theory, improvisation, reading, rhythm, all kinds of things that I dabble in a little bit on the channel, but I go into a lot more depth there on the website. And it's also it's instructional videos if you want to know, along with like playing examples, real songs to play, assignments and activities to really help you learn. So it's a lot more than what the YouTube channel can offer you. And as a thank you for attending this live stream, you can use the code December during checkout. It's actually when you enter in the payment information, and you'll get 20% off any enrollment. So that's just like my little thank you to you. And if you have any questions about it all, just let me know. So anybody in the stream now, does anybody have any questions about chords? Actually, let me say this. If you have any questions about chords, leave them in the comments. I would really like to hear them, and so we can really come together, and I can maybe even make a better lesson on this in the future. So I'd really love to hear from you. Ryan says, I am absolutely loving the Academy. So, hold on a second, everybody. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Ryan here, actually I can get everybody's chat here. Oops, there's me. So if you take a look over here, now we can see the chat all together. And Ryan says, I'm absolutely loving the Academy. Now if I could figure out how to scroll down. There you go. So Rich says, this is just the kind of lesson I've been looking for. So thank you so much, Rich. So if there's something you'd like to see added to this lesson, please let me know. Or if there's like something you have questions about, I absolutely would love to hear it. Like I say, so I can make an even better lesson. I'm actually making a course based on this lesson over on the website, but I will probably make more chord lessons on the YouTube channel as well, just kind of like an introductory thing, so we can all become a little bit more familiar with chords. But yeah, any questions you have at all, Rich, would be, or anybody really. Oh, Ryan says, definitely making great progress. Let's see where we're at. There it is. Rich says, I know a lot of chord spellings, but I need to practice actually playing them and knowing the right fingering. Okay. So that's one thing, maybe, but I need to practice actually playing them and knowing the right fingering. Okay, so fingering's another thing. So I could make another lesson on fingering. Let me jot this down really quick. So I have like a document that I always go to. So hold on, everybody. I'll be right back. Ryan says, by the way, I really like your teaching style. So it makes it very easy. Thank you so much, Ryan. Ryan's so nice to me. I mean, Rich is pretty nice to me too, but. Oh, and welcome back. Sorry I can't pronounce your name. It's nice because they follow patterns. So I'm very glad you're back. I know you are always in the comments pretty much, and it's wonderful to have you a part of this community. So here we go. Just give me a second, everybody. I want to write down Rich's lesson idea. If you have a lesson idea, by the way, now would be the perfect time to let me know, since I have the master list out of lesson ideas. Okay, so wow, it's like 23 long. So and these are good ideas too. So let's see, fingering, and then it's going to be maybe a fingering one on chords, and then maybe another idea would be fingering with scales as well. Would be a good lesson, I think. But chords and then inversions. And I'll probably do triads at first, and then I'll make one possibly on seventh chords later on. So if anybody has any recommendation. Okay, Ryan says, I have a great idea. Make them a little later. Being on the West Coast, the time difference is tough. Oh, make the live streams a little later. Well, the problem with that is then it would be like 10 p.m. for me. So it would be getting pretty late for me. I know it's kind of boring, but I like lesson on seventh arpeggios. The fingering, I mean. Okay. I remember you had brought that up before. Let me write that down. Oh, you mean for the... I can do the Academy one. I can do the Academy one a little bit later. So, by the way, everybody, I added a new live stream just for the Academy students. And Ryan, I'll post the link to that recording. So we did have it today. Actually, nobody showed up, but I still taught a lesson. Anyway, it was actually on rhythm today. But yeah, I'll see if I can move the time around. I'll see what I can do. I might even move it. The only problem is if I move it to after this one, I feel like sometimes I'm going to be too tired to really put, my full focus into it. So let me write this one thing down for Rich so I do not forget. Fingering sevenths. Yeah, I have to do some research on that. That could make a really good lesson. But yeah, I got that down for you, Rich. Can you explain in layman's term what a cadence actually is? Sure. So that's a great question. So what is a cadence actually? Well, a cadence is, if I had to define it in the dictionary, I would say that a cadence is a chord pattern that is commonly used in music. Now, it's a little deeper than that. Generally, a cadence, there's many different types of cadences. Let's look this up. I think it can explain it more than I can because there's a bunch of different cadences. Music definition. I want to make sure I got the whole scoop covered. So here we go. Let me make sure. Luckily, if we go to Wikipedia, I can still kind of tell if the information, well, I can still really tell if it's really off. Okay, I understand you guys need money, but maybe later. No, don't send me a reminder. There we go. I love Wikipedia, but maybe I'll donate someday. Okay, so let's see here. A cadence. In Western musical theory, a cadence is a melodic or harmonic configuration, mostly harmonic. The melody does have something to do with it, though. That creates a sense of resolution, finality, or pause. So basically, what a cadence does is a pattern of chords that's very common. It's the 1-4-5-1 chord progression, the most common chord progression in music, where you pick the first chord of the scale, fourth chord of the scale, fifth of the scale. back to the first chord, but you put them in inversions like that. Now, they are designed to lead the ear in a progression. So you see how when I play that next to last chord, it really wants to lead me back to there. So cadences are used in really 2 points in music. They're used in like middle points. So if you have a middle point in a part of a piece of music, like you have maybe an 8-bar phrase, and then you have a second 8-bar phrase at the end of the first 8 bars, or maybe in the first 4 bars, you're going to have a cadence, right? And when you stop on one of those chords, the chords are designed in a way to progress between one another. So it makes you feel like you're going to either continue on with the piece. So here's an example. Now, if I stop there, right, that can be a fine for the end of a section, but it definitely sounds like the music's going to go on, right? So like I said, these chords are designed in a way to progress you through the song. So there are certain points where you feel like it can continue, or certain points where it sounds final. So if you end on the one chord, you know, it sounds a lot more final. So these are just common chord progressions in music that lead the listener basically from the beginning of the song to the middle of the song to the end of certain phrases and certain parts in the music. So they work together with the melody actually to kind of give you a sense of musical phrases by leading you certain places with the chord progression. But let me continue reading here. A harmonic cadence is a progression of at least 2 chords, so that concludes a phrase, section, or piece of music. So basically what I said, probably put it a little bit more eloquently than I did today. So a rhythm cadence is a characteristic rhythm pattern that indicates the end of a phrase. So there's even rhythmic ones. Like I said, there's a bunch of different types. A cadence is labeled more or less weak or strong depending on the sense of finality. So again, sounds like it continues or sounds final. So that's basically what they are. There's a ton of them. Authentic cadence, half cadence, plagal cadence, interrupted deceptive cadence, inverted cadence, upper leading tone cadence, rhythmic classifications, and Picardy cadence. Yeah, popular one, 1-4-5, definitely. So the one we've introduced today is actually a 1-4 and then a 5-7 chord in first inversion. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I got to work from 8:30 to 4:30, so I couldn't make it today. So that's okay. Not a problem, Ryan. I will see, like I said, I'll see what I can do about changing the time. I have to find a time that works well, you know, for me, that I can give enough energy for the lesson. So I may even change days on it. Okay, Rich says, okay, I think I finally understand. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, I know it was a long-winded response, but I think we got it. It's been a while since I've actually had to explain what that is. You know, I've always been practicing them. But it's always good. It's always good to get different kinds of questions, because that will come up again, and when it comes up again, I'll nail it. Okay, so how's everybody doing? Does anybody have any questions about anything? That covers pretty much everything I wanted to cover tonight in terms of chords. But I will certainly stick around for a little while longer to chat with everybody. If some people do have questions, so let me check over here what's going on here. So we released a new video today. Actually, it was from the live stream the last time. So if you may know by now. So if you attend these live streams, you probably know this. If not, here's the clue in. So when we have a live stream, what happens is over the next week, I chop that lesson up, take out all the awkward parts or anywhere where something disrupts what's happening, and I edit it together really nice for everybody. So you will see today we released the How to Write Your First Song. So check that video out if you haven't already. They release 2 p.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time, and on Fridays. So always check those out. Do you have any tips on knowing what the best fingers to use are when sight reading? Like not running out of fingers and not compacting your hand in a not so comfortable position. Sure. So when you're sight reading, you want to look at the lowest, for each hand, you want to look at the lowest note you have, and you want to look at the highest note you have. Now, what does that tell you? Well, that basically tells you that the lowest note, if you're you're going to be using your leftmost finger on. So with your left hand, it's going to be your pinky. Right hand is going to be your thumb. So say I have something like that, which is a really kind of neat sounding chord. So anyway, so we have this chord, and say for each hand, the highest note I have here is a G, and the lowest note I have is C. That's a pretty restricted range, but let's just say we have that. And then we have, A, E, A here, with A being the highest note, A being the lowest note. So I want to plant 5 and 1 here, same thing here, 1 and 5 here, because when you look at the highest note and the lowest note, that's what's called your range. So you want to make sure that your hands can basically cover your range. Now, that doesn't mean that your hands won't move position. So obviously, the range will change throughout the song. It may start out different. You may actually want to pick a few points where it peaks and divots, so you can really figure out the range of the song, and then place the other fingers where it makes sense on the notes. In the middle there. I have to head out to dinner with the missus soon. Thanks for all the help, and have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much, Ryan. So always welcome back, and I hope to talk to you again soon. I'm sure I will, either in the Academy or in the live stream. So you're always welcome back. And then that's basically it, Rich. So you always want to pick now I can obviously make a more in-depth lesson, but you want to pick the range, the highest note, lowest note, and you basically want to know that, your outer fingers are going to be playing the high and low end of that range, with your other fingers playing the ones in between. Like I said, there's a little bit more to it than that, but I think for right now, that's as concise as I can be. All right, any other questions from anybody? Thank you so much for coming out, everybody. We're not packing up quite yet, but we'll see if anybody has any other questions I can answer for you. Let me see if I have any announcements on what's coming out. So if you ever are curious and you want to know what's coming up with Lessons on the Web, so you go to pianolessonsontheweb.com. You have to put in the www. I'm trying to figure out a way around that. But anyway, www.pianolessonsontheweb.com. You go there and you go to Community. And there we have our calendar, what we're talking about. So here's what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So on Sunday, I'm basically going to be talking about the more live streams that we're having and how you can get them. Actually, I'm going to sneak in a mini lesson in there just to give you a little something if you're not interested in the Academy. On next Friday, we're going to have great Christmas songs that don't take long to learn. So if you're gearing up for the holiday season, and you want to either play for somebody or play for yourself and play your favorite holiday tunes, I'm going to give you a list of songs that you can learn, Christmas songs, holiday songs, that you can learn that aren't overly difficult, and where to find them. I'll try to give you the sheet music as well. And then we have What's New with Lessons on the Web Academy. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm going to fill those in with other lesson ideas, so that will change a little bit. And then we have Jingle Bells coming up, so we're going to gear up for the Christmas and holiday season. Who is my favorite composer, by the way? I think you've asked me this, but I don't really even remember what I said. Maybe, actually, I have no idea if you asked me this. I feel like somebody has asked me, though. How about Beethoven? Chopin's fun to play. Chopin is very hard, but Chopin is very nice, always nice to play. I clearly haven't played that song in forever. And then Beethoven is really fun. Beethoven uses what's called tone painting, where he has these really dramatic painted scenes with the notes that he uses, and he uses dynamics in such a way and articulations and everything that is always really interesting, I think. Haydn is okay. Haydn's like a watered down Beethoven in my opinion, because he wasn't quite as experimental. He was still in I believe, the early classical. And why? So I guess that's why. Cause Beethoven, and because his music is the most interesting in terms of mood. I feel like his mood was always angry, I believe, from what I've heard. But his music has a lot of changes in mood in it, and it could be because he was bipolar, I think, but I don't know. I didn't know him personally. A lot of a lot of great composers are disturbed. Not all of them though. One of them, Schumann? No, maybe it was Schubert. One of them had multiple personality disorder, so that's interesting. But that's why. So that's my favorite. If you want to share who your favorite is, leave it in the comments. Be more than happy to hear. I can't believe we're almost in 2017. Can you? We are getting ready for Christmas and everything. So, all right, I think I'm going to wrap it up here, everybody. If you have any last minute comments or questions, feel free. Okay, out of here. My input on preferred live streams would be basically after 5:30 Monday to Friday. Oh, I don't know if I could do Monday to Friday, but maybe at any time of weekends. Okay, thanks. Oh, you're very welcome, Ryan. Yeah, this year did fly by. It was crazy. Okay, Jesse says my favorite composer is Mozart. Mozart was very good. I like Mozart as well. Mozart did a lot of things that Bach didn't do. So it's interesting because if you listen to Bach's music, there's some similarities between Bach's and Mozart's music. And Mozart was, I mean, because he came later, really, uh, is more of an interesting version of Bach. He did different things that they didn't do at the time. Again, he started to experiment more with dynamics and different articulations and things like that. And then Beethoven seemed to take that and just take it in a whole different direction, which I thought was really interesting. But Mozart, yeah, has some really good ones. He has a lot of great theme and variations. You have the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star one. I don't remember the exact name for it, but I've played a few Mozarts. There's a few Mozarts in my day. I've played them. Lister Rachmaninoff. Rachmaninoff is, those two are awesome. They are very hard to play though. Very hard to play. I think both of those are for like virtuoso pianists. I mean, you can play them, some of them. Like I could play some of them, but they are certainly tough. Mostly because their hands were giant. Very true. Very true. Very huge range, as Rich and I were talking about earlier. So beyond. Lots of octaves too, I think, right? Like lots of moving around, if I remember right. It's been a long time. All right, everybody. I think I'm gonna head. I was gonna say head out. I'm not really going anywhere, but I think I'm gonna end it here. Thanks you so much for coming out tonight and being a part of something that means so much to me, which is teaching all of you piano and music, people all around the world. It's such a privilege to me, really, to be able to run this YouTube channel and have such great at points like great support. Like I feel like a lot of people are supporting what I do on here, and I appreciate just being able to meet with everybody on these live streams. I think it's so cool that YouTube finally got on with the live streaming and made it decent, so we could have these courses together or these classes together. So it's really nice interacting with you. If you're here for the first time or you're returning, you're always welcome back. I would always love you to come back again. We have a little close knit community here that is growing, I feel. And like I said, I'm just so privileged and so happy that I can be a part of that. So thank you for being a part of that with me. So I just wanted to say that before we go. I know I say that, I don't really say exactly that, but I always say that I'm thankful for the people that watch my videos, and that's because it's really true. Thank you so much. If nobody watched the videos, I would have stopped doing them long ago. So thanks for everybody coming out. It's great hanging out with you all, and I'll talk to you the next live stream. We're going to meet again on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the same time that we met tonight. If you don't know what time that is, 37 minutes ago from whatever time it is right now is when we will start on Sunday. So thanks everybody for coming out, and I'll talk to you in the next live stream.